I mean, every day you get that satisfaction of it works, and that's kind of neat. And just seeing things get done and seeing people get motivated. I mean, I like motivating other people. I like obviously like getting women excited about STEM and like my mentoring and making sure that when I retire, there's, 2 or 3 or 7 girls to take my place that are going to be amazing. And I think so that's why I keep involved in like STEM outside of work, but just at work. I mean, just every day there's new problems to solve and new things to learn.
Welcome to a virtual edition of the EITR podcast. As you can see, Nick and John are out, Natalie and Judy are in. Today we will be talking about women in STEM through our own experiences and everything that we've been through with our careers across our varying levels of experience. I think between the three of us, we have a pretty broad spectrum, so it'll be really interesting to hear the different answers from everyone. To kick things off, I'd love to go around and talk a little bit about our individual experiences in STEM. So let's start with you, Judy. You have an incredible background and awesome reputation for mentorship and community support. So tell us about yourself and how'd you get here?
Oh, okay. Well, I have to say I'm kind of lucky. I'm kind of can count on lean on some privilege that I had as a kid. My dad was a physicist and he was a collector of everything electronic. So when I was in middle school, I had a PDP-7 in my basement, and I learned how to program with the dinosaurs on paper tape.
That's awesome.
And so I learned to program really early. Even when I was in high school, I was already going to the elementary schools to teach little kids basic. And then when I graduated high school, my guidance counselor told me that I was good at math, so I had to be an engineer. So I went to engineering school to be an engineer. I got a computer science degree, and then I went to work, and I've been everywhere. I've been in organizations that were the first place I worked. I was the only, which is weird. I was the only programmer with a bunch of electrical engineers. And then I moved on to working with physicists, with other programmers. I've pretty much done everything. So I programmed in, a lot of different languages. And then I ventured I kind of got pushed into management. So my manager on my project I was working on actually kept dumping all this tasking on me until at some point I realized that I was doing all the paperwork and all the reporting, and he was just sitting back cheering me on. So I kind of went that route for a little while, and then I was kind of like a hybrid developer manager. And right now I'm a systems engineer, which is really fun because I get to use the skills that I learned as a programmer, and I get to use the people skills that I have most of the time. And I get to work with people that do things that I like and that I'm familiar with. So that covers the 800 years I've been around. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I always look up to you with your experience with different languages and ability to move around, and especially your communication skills with other people are excellent. Awesome. So thank you, Judy. Welcome. So Natalie, you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. You are a fabulous software engineering intern here, and I would love to hear more about how you got here.
Well, I really wish I got to start programming at a younger age, but really I began programming only about 3 years ago when I started college. So I started in spring of 2022, and after high school, I really loved math and everything, but I was never really pushed towards computer science at all. When I got to college, I was trying to pick a major that interested me, but also was challenging and was going to be profitable for myself. So I ended up choosing computer science after I took a intro to Java coding class. And I really fell in love with programming about 2 years ago, and I've just kept going with it ever since. It just became something that was super challenging to me, and that was something that drove me to continue with it. So right now I'm entering my senior year of my computer science degree, and I was so fortunate this summer to be an intern for EITR, and right now I'm coding in Python, and it's awesome. And for the past year, I've been the computer science tutor at my school, where I've gotten to help a lot of other kids in the intro to Java classes and all the introductory level computer science classes, and that's been super rewarding.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love getting out of the gate and already helping people. I think one of my teachers said, you learn better by teaching, like you retain 70% more or something. So that's incredible that you're already able to help people. That's awesome. So we are so happy to have both of you. Like I mentioned before, Natalie, you're amazing, our intern for EITR for 2023. And Judy, I'm not sure I mentioned it before, but you're our chief community officer and very amazing at it. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm not sure if you guys know, but I actually worked in retail for about 7 years from high school through college. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my Bachelor of Arts in math. Not sure. Most people were like, you could be a teacher, go be a teacher. And I was like, I'm not sure I'd be the best teacher. So I got picked up through the agency at Fort Meade for a scholarship through a program that they have called the National Scholarship. Nope. I don't even remember what it's called. It's like NSSP. It was really cool though. I've been here too long, 15 years, and it's all escaped my memory. But the internship was challenging enough and the industry was interesting enough to keep me in. I just haven't left the software engineering industry. And I guess that's a good segue into one of my first questions I have for you guys. Like, I know when I was in college, Hood College was historically a female college and they opened up to men shortly before I actually started there, I believe, if my history is correct. So a lot of the projects that I worked on, they were pretty diverse. Like there were a lot of women in my courses. There were some men here and there. And when I started in my internship to get in this industry, I was 11 years younger than the youngest person on the team and the only girl. And I didn't really notice it because I have 2 brothers. So I was kind of used to being around males all the time anyway. But as I went across my career, I've actually been pretty fortunate to work on teams that have had at least 2 or 3 women on the team as well. So I was wondering, like in your backgrounds, like have you found that you work with a lot of different types of people on your projects or in your jobs, or is it still male dominated?
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I had the opposite experience at college. I went to an engineering school in the 19 whatevers, and like 1 out of every 7 students was female. So pretty much you're guaranteed there might be 1 or 2 girls in your classes.
Wow.
And my jobs, while I was in college and high school, I actually worked on an Air Force base, and my boss was a woman. And the cool thing was that her husband, she was also the boss of him at work. And probably at home too. But so like early on, I was shown that women can be leaders. And all my teams have varied. I've been in teams that have been all guys. I've been in teams that have been all women. I've been in teams that are all women that are, as I've got older, like closer to my age, women that are young. It's just yeah, I don't think it's followed any pattern. I think in every kind of combination. Well, it's better, like we're going to say later, right? The more diverse, the better. The more ideas, the more background, the less that people have grown up together, the more different experiences, I think, has made my career different because learning from all different people. So, sorry.
Awesome. How about you, Natalie? I mean, I'm a Hood alum from class of 2008, and I'm sure a lot has changed now in 2023. What do you find? You work with a lot of men, women?
Well, I think I pretty much knew when I was getting into computer science that, women were still, going to be the minority of the groups in computer science classes. And while that's the case, we're really fortunate to have small class sizes. So even though like only maybe 1 in 4 students were women, like that still felt like it wasn't as scary, because while in a class of 20, I would always know that there would be, 5 other girls that would be there if I needed support. I think that over the semesters that I've been in, you kind of, you just see a diverse range of what your groups are in. And pretty much in school right now, you get the opportunity to choose who you're working with if you're choosing to work on a project. And sometimes, that allows you to choose a group full of other girls, or sometimes whatever you like. And I think that's something that might change as I get into the professional industry. Just, I won't be able to choose my friends as much, and I'll just be in groups as they come. And that's something I'm learning to just be okay with right now. But right now, yeah, it's been pretty diverse, but I've also found like a really good group of girls in my school.
Awesome. And I know your internship, I know you work a lot with Nick, who has gotten a pedicure in the last year, but isn't a girl. So what's it like going from working with like mostly women to, I guess.
Well, don't
Nick.
forget about yourself, Stephanie, because I
That's
was
true.
super awesome. Like, you pretty much took me through the whole hiring process just with you, and I thought that was so amazing. Like, I
Thank you.
I really looked up to just the fact that, you know, I was interviewing with another woman, and you look like you were thriving in this industry, and it was just super inspiring at that
Oh, I
moment.
appreciate that.
And
Thank
I feel like I can always reach out to the entire team, and it seems like EITR is really diverse, and um, like how many women they have. So Nick is awesome though.
you. Yeah. We started a lot over COVID, so there were a lot of people you wouldn't know what they look like at all. And frankly, we don't really care. But when it comes to that first happy hour after COVID opened things back up, and we're like, all right, where is everybody? We need a sign. Like, somebody, if you're with us, are you with us? Awesome. So yeah, cool. So I guess, like, what do you guys, I mean, we haven't dived too much into like the diversity, but I feel like we've got a good baseline here. Like, what do you think we could do to attract more women and diversity into the tech industry? I think we can all agree we get a lot of value out of people's experiences. So even your experiences in extracurriculars, music and sports and stuff, that plays into your how you solve problems. And that's what we're doing here. We're solving problems. So having that good diversity really does sort of foster that learning. And like, how do we get more of that? I think we're lucky to be where we are, but like, how do we keep it going?
Well, I think that is kind of the key. What you just said is keep it going. I think that a lot of people put a lot of effort into recruiting women and getting women, hiring women, and then they forget about them. And I think, you encourage us to be us. We make sure that there are diverse things to do and diverse people to be with. And I think like I would never think about leaving. So, I mean, I think that's what's more important. I mean, we're obviously doing everything we can. We're using our networking to attract people that are good, diverse, all the underrepresented, right? We need to cover, but I think making sure that we're comfortable once we're here is something that you guys are really good at, and something that we need to continue doing.
Awesome.
I would say just getting more women interested in choosing a STEM major. I think we have to remind people that we go into this because we love it and it's a lot of fun. And I guess once you get into high school and college age, you get more stressed out about what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. But people forget that STEM is fun, and a lot of the things that I love about it are things that aren't really advertised to women or men. So I think if a lot of more women knew that if you liked chemistry or biology or computer science when you're in middle school, you're still going to find the parts of it that you really enjoy and that inspire you when you're in college and throughout your career. So I think if we just made sure that that was one of the selling points of joining STEM, is like there's something here for you that you can find fun in. And it's not all business, and there's definitely enjoyable parts to this challenging field.
Yeah, so like you said inspiration, and that kind of triggered a question in my head. It's like, what are your sources of inspiration? Like, what motivates you to be involved in STEM and continue to be involved in STEM? waiting.
Well, I guess, yeah, I naturally enjoy problem solving and challenging things. And I think that when I went into coding, the tackling a problem that wasn't just so straightforward or there wasn't one answer to science field is all continuously evolving. And your career is keeping up with um, all of the new technology and making sure that you're up to date with everything new that's going on. And I think that is something that really drew me to it is that you won't ever stop learning in this field.
It's true. Like living on the bleeding edge is something that's super fun. It can be super scary, but it's definitely worth the ride, I think. So, how about you, Judy? What are your sources of inspiration?
No, I don't know. I mean, obviously I like to learn. I don't want to go home and think that I'm just as stupid as I was when I went to work this morning, right? I mean, new skills, new things. I mean, of course, at the beginning, of course, when you're writing code, and I mean, just like when it works. I mean, every day you get that satisfaction of it works, and that's kind of neat. And just seeing things get done and seeing people get motivated. I mean, I like motivating other people. I like obviously, like getting women excited about STEM and like my mentoring and making sure that when I retire, there's, 2 or 3 or 7 girls to take my place that that are going to be amazing. And I think that's why I keep involved in like STEM outside of work, but just at work. I mean, just every day there's new problems to solve and new things to learn. So
Yeah, I agree. I think problem solving is a pretty good like inspiration across the board. It's like if you like to solve problems, there's probably a part of STEM that will make your brain happy. Whether it is like science, like biology, chemistry, or technology, like we're in, and especially with the AI field coming out and everything that can be done with all the technology there. It's very exciting. What would you guys say you found sort of like essential for your success? I think that there's some things that people overlook when it comes to how are you successful in the STEM field. So being good at programming, but also being able to communicate with people, being good at staying organized. Like, what are the essential pieces that you guys think people need to grasp as well to be successful in this field?
now you covered most of them: being organized, communicating. Yeah, again, wanting to learn, being open, listening. You have to listen to other people.
Listening is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, super. I had something else in my brain, I forgot. Oh.
Yeah, you
I
said
think
listening.
I think
there's that
yeah,
whole like bring your whole self to work. I mean, some people, I heard somebody the other day say, "Oh, I'm a totally different person when I'm not at work." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm what you see is what you got." I think that being yourself and not trying to hide anything and learning, I think also like learning to say I don't know and getting help and being able to find, like, it's like I'm not that smart, I just know who to ask questions to, right? I mean, there's a lot of that in my career too. So
that's the big one I was thinking of, just being able to know when you need to ask for help and know when you need to ask questions and ask a million questions.
Questions are so good, and I think they're underrated, and I think people get intimidated when they feel a certain way about how smart they are. But I am more than happy to put a stupid question out there and catch a look from somebody and be like, look, I don't know, I need to know, and it's going to get me to that next step. So yeah, being able to ask questions and find compromises. I think something you said, Judy, triggered that in my brain. It's like there's so many different ways problems can be solved. And if you are working on a team, you have to know how to work with other people, and you need to know how to compromise, because there's not one right answer most of the time. Cool. So let's see. We talked about how do we get people involved? Like how do we stay involved in STEM? Like I think I mentioned before, and this question might be out of order, but when I was in college, I was really encouraged to take a more classical career approach, like be a teacher, even though, I'm not the greatest at teaching things, unless I really, really focus. So it wasn't quite up my alley, and it wouldn't be like the stimulation my brain needed. And I feel like, how do we encourage people to take a path that seems scarier, like jumping into a field where you might not be, around comfortable people? Does that make sense? I feel like I said a lot of words and maybe didn't ask a question.
But I think what you said before about STEM being so varied, like when we should give the cybersecurity talks to middle schoolers, right? I mean, one of the things we say is cybersecurity is not just always, wearing a hoodie in your mom's basement, right? But you can write the code, you can write the rules, you can read the rules, you can, just solve problems without writing code. There are just so many different ways that you can be involved in STEM, and and even in your own career, in your own education. You can find what you like, or you can just keep playing around and figure out what you're best at. I think that you have so many options. So, I have worked with developers that say they hate writing code, but here they are, or they found something kind of tangential and kind of, slid into that. So I think knowing how many options that you have.
That's true. There are a lot of options out there. And I don't think a lot of them get covered in school. So being able to sort of look at, maybe you do want to grow up to be a configuration management specialist, but you're never going to hear about that in school, right? But I guess both of you sort of mentioned teaching and mentorship. So how do we publicize being mentors or getting people into mentorship? I know, Judy, you run the DevOps Columbia meetups, and I think that that's great to like build communities. But what would you suggest to people to like get them more involved? How to reach out and find those mentors?
Oh,
I know
yeah,
it's
I
a tough
mean,
one.
I did. I've done both, right? I've gone out and gone to schools and, and been able to find people to mentor. But I feel like everybody's like, oh, I have a mentor. And I'm like, oh, I have like 100, right? I mean, I have an old CEO who just taught me so many people skills. I just can't imagine what life would have been if I didn't know him. I have programming mentors, I have management mentors, I have just people that teach me how to get along with other people. I have role models like Stephanie. And so I think that you like, and it sometimes it's even unspoken. I mean, there are people that I consider mentors that have no idea, but people have also like, have come to me, or I've seen people go to other people and say, hey, can we do some kind of mentorship? Can we talk? Can you help me with this? Or just even with one problem. So I think if the person that you're probably going to want to be your mentor is probably going to be approachable anyway. So it shouldn't be too hard to ask for help, or to ask for it in a certain way. But again, they don't have to know they're your mentor. They just need to
That's
know
a
that
very
sometimes
good
you want
point,
to ask for
actually. It's
questions.
like you can still follow people. I know there's people on LinkedIn that I just follow, and I'm like, wow, you're very impressive, and I'd like to see what you do next and maybe be able to emulate some of that goodness in my own career. That's a good point. They don't actually have to know. You don't have to reach out to them, but you can still be
It sounds
inspired by them.
stalkerish.
You could just stalk them on the internet. It'd be great. Natalie, do you have a mentor, or like have you considered having a mentor in the past?
I feel like I haven't had like a strict mentor, but I really agree with what Judy says. And I think that your mentors can be all around you. And I've definitely found that my peers often end up being my mentors just because I like the way that they handle things, or I just think that they've just have such different experiences from me that makes them stronger, and I can learn from them from that. So I've gotten a lot of good advice from just my classmates, and I'd like to think that that's one of the things that I provide to my classmates too, because I think that you don't have to be above someone else to be a mentor. I think it can really be your peers, and you can learn a lot from just how they've had a different experience in STEM or in any field, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's really good. I'm starting to think that like all the lessons that, you teach your kids or we were taught as kids are like the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated and surround yourself with people that you want to be like. And it's all there. Yeah. It's fun. So I guess I want to ask, like, what's a piece of advice that you guys would give to anyone entertaining a career in STEM? Doesn't necessarily have to be just women, but like we want to empower everyone to follow this dream if it's theirs, and I'll let you guys go first because I'm not really sure what piece of advice I would give people.
My advice that I always give people that ask for advice is don't take anybody's advice, right? You're on your own road. You're forging your own trail. And I've had so many people tell me, like I always joke, like, don't bake cookies at work. It makes people think you're subservient. Don't color your hair blue. Don't do this, do that. And I'm like, well, some of this works for me, If I want my guys to come to a meeting, I'm going to bake them cookies. I don't care what you say. And so I think most of us are smart to have gotten this far, and we have some kind of instinct that's going to tell us, and you're allowed to make mistakes. That's a big one, is you've got to learn from your mistakes. So
I think whoever gave you that cookie piece of advice is very antiquated, because there's a girl on my team who brought in cookies for Christmas, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are such good cookies. And she's like, oh, thanks, my husband makes them every year for Christmas. And I'm like, wait, your husband made these cookies for everybody? And she's like, yeah, he just loves to bake. And I'm like, that's amazing. So whoever told you not to bake cookies, they need to catch up. 2023, everyone can bake cookies and everybody loves cookies. How about you, Natalie? What piece of advice would you give anyone entertaining a career in STEM?
I think I would kind of go off Judy, and I think that people should remember that comparison is the thief of joy. And really, your road that you're on is not going to look like anyone else's. And sometimes we can get caught up just thinking, okay, well, I haven't been doing this as long as anyone else, or, I feel like I have to put in more work to understand concepts. But just remember, like, you are on the road that's meant for you, exactly like you were saying. And when you compare yourself to other people, you're only going to be doing damage to your own self, And I think that don't be afraid, and all you can do is try your best. And I think that there's a spot for everyone in STEM, and to just try it out, because it's the worst that could happen.
Yeah, I feel like if you click with science, technology, engineering, math, like you shouldn't let the stereotypes that you think are going to hit you in this industry hold you back. If they come up, there's probably 100 other people, 100 other women, 100 other anyone that have been through something similar and hopefully stayed and can help build you through that path. I know in my personal experience, like I've been through some rough patches on some teams that were toxic, and I think you can find that in any industry. But it was one of my really awesome coworkers who was a female engineer, and she helped me. She like dragged me through it. She's like, you're not giving up. You are awesome, and you are going to get through this and keep trudging forward because you're too smart to give it up now. So I just think that we need to build other people up. And when you see people in a situation where they're like, well, maybe everyone's right and I shouldn't do this, like, if that's truly what you want, great. But if it's not, drag them. Let's go. We're going. If you wanted to be here, you're here. Let's do this. I feel like that was probably a piece of advice. My favorite piece of advice is treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
Like if you're ever working in a service desk and you want to type something snarky back, you're like, would you want someone to say something snarky to you? No. So builds up those communication skills. Awesome. You guys are incredible. I just want you to know, like, I'm so proud of both of you and everywhere that you've been and everywhere that you're going. And I'm happy to be a piece of getting you there. Like I'm very excited about that. And you're both mentors to me too. So thank you for that. I'll continue stalking you on the internet. Are there any other things you think that we should talk about, like while we're all here and, talking about STEM and everything that we've been through? I know, Judy, you have an excellent career. I'm sure you've been through even more than I have.
I don't know. I was when we were talking about questions when we were talking earlier today, and I said that's something nobody ever asks me, and I don't actually know the answer to is, but what are good things about being underrepresented in this field? And I was thinking about it, and I mean, really, I think it's like support people that are, the diversity around us and the people that support us, and knowing that you can succeed and that you do always have a friend, but I know, and I used to be one of those people that, and I still am, if somebody says you can't do it, then I'm damn well gonna do it, right? And I think that's part of who I am and why I'm here, because
You can't bake cookies for tomorrow, Judy. You just can't. Is that gonna work? I agree with you. I don't like being told I can't do something, or
Right.
hey, if you were a boy, that'd be fine. I was like, I don't even want to believe people still think that way. Yeah, I won't believe it. Awesome. Well, I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys. I could probably talk to you guys for like ever. And I plan on it because I'm internet stalking both of you. But thank you so much for being here, and thank you for taking the time. And everyone that's watching, thanks for making it to the end of the podcast. I appreciate you. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you around. Check us out on LinkedIn. We're pretty amazing.